It is Tuesday. It is the 21st of January. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Our top stories today. But we begin with a deadly blast in the Lebanese capital. This is the scene in southern Beirut as smoke and flames rise from the site of an explosion. 4 people were killed in the blast, which went off in a neighborhood known as Hezbollah stronghold. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh is in Beirut and joins us now. Nick, this is the second time in a couple of weeks that an explosion has taken place in the Hezbollah stronghold. What's happening?
Well, I think this is clearly a bid by, I think it's fair to say, those aligned with Syrian rebels to punish Hezbollah as they see it for their involvement.
All right, Nick, thank you. Nick Payton-Walsh there live for us from Beirut. The Winter Olympics in Sochi, Russia, are now less than 3 weeks away, and fears for the safety of the thousands of people who will be at the Games are rising. The Russian government insists it's got everything under control. It says anti-terrorist forces killed 7 rebels in Dagestan in recent days, including a so-called Black Widow who was allegedly being trained to be a suicide bomber. But there are fears another Black Widow may have slipped past heavy security into the Olympic host city of Sochi and is waiting there, poised to strike. Let's take you now to CNN's Phil Black in Volgograd, Russia. The city of Sochi is surrounded by what's known as this ring of steel, the security ring of steel. So it begs the question, if true, how did this person penetrate that? Phil?
Yeah, indeed, Monita, that's right. This wasn't supposed to happen. The whole concept of such a security system was to keep people like this out of the city in the lead up to the Games to prevent them from doing...
Phil Black there live for us from Volgograd. The FBI says U.S. law enforcement and other federal personnel are already in Russia to provide security advice and support ahead of next month's Games, and the U.S. military is making contingency plans in case of any attacks on the Sochi Olympics. Barbara Starr reports.
With the opening ceremony less than 3 weeks away, the U.S. is making plans.
Some of the other stories we're following for you here at CNN News Center. This just into CNN. The Thai government has just declared a state of emergency. This follows weeks of protests, some which have been violent. The state of emergency is expected to take effect starting on Wednesday. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says he believes the situation in Ukraine may be getting out of control, speaking as demonstrators clashed with police again in the capital, Kiev. Mr. Lavrov said calls from opposition leaders for an end to the violence were not being heeded. The personal data of 20 million South Koreans has been stolen. That's 40% of the population. Executives at 3 major South Korean financial companies have tendered their resignations. Investigators believe a software engineer who worked with all 3 companies swiped information from more than 100 million credit cards. The family of an American man imprisoned in North Korea is asking Pyongyang for mercy. Kenneth Bae appeared before reporters on Monday. He confessed to committing a, quote, serious crime. Bae's sister says he appeared distressed. North Korea has a long history of airing false confessions. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. You are watching CNN Newsroom live from Hong Kong, a News Center live from Hong Kong. I'm Monita Rajpal. Russia says it was a mistake to remove Iran from the guest list of a Syrian conference, but the foreign minister tempered his criticism by adding that the UN decision was, quote, not a catastrophe. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon's last-minute invitation to Iran on Sunday triggered a storm of controversy that had threatened to derail the peace talks. The meeting gets underway in Geneva on Wednesday. Well, the goal of the Geneva II talks is to set up a transitional government and end the violence, but the al-Assad government has a very different take on this conference. Frederick Pleitgen filed this report from Damascus.
In the run-up to the Geneva conference, the regime here in Damascus has said time and again that...
Meanwhile, some chilling new allegations against the Syrian government have emerged. CNN, along with the Guardian newspaper, has received exclusive access to a new report accusing the Assad regime of mass killing and torture. First, a warning. The pictures we're about to show you are extremely graphic. Much of the evidence comes from a Syrian military defector who provided thousands of photographs of corpses. The report says the bodies showed signs of starvation and brutal beatings. CNN's Christiane Amanpour spoke to members of an expert panel to discuss the evidence.
Let me go straight to these images and to Stuart Hamilton, who is the...
Well, 3 years into this brutal civil war, and many families are doing whatever they can to escape the fighting. There are more than 2 million Syrian refugees in the region. That means nearly 1 out of 9 Syrian citizens have fled their homes. And at a news center live from Hong Kong, Japan's annual dolphin hunt wrapped up today, even as it was shadowed by controversy. Local fishermen say about 500 dolphins were driven into the Taiji Cove in southern Japan. There, they were captured or killed. Critics, including the U.S. ambassador to Japan, Caroline Kennedy, call the practice inhumane. But Japanese officials and fishermen say it's a way of life. Paula Hancock says more.
The bottlenose dolphins are herded close to the shore.
Well, let's get a check now of weather conditions. Let's go to Maya Ramos at the World Weather Center. And Maya, we're talking about some record rainfall there in the Philippines.
Yeah, the rainfall totals are tremendous across this area. Big delay, over 1,000 flights, Monita, already canceled here. Back to you.
All right. Mari, thank you very much. You are watching CNN News Center. I'm Monita Rajpal at CNN Hong Kong. Thank you for joining us. I'll bring you an update of the news headlines in just a few minutes.